Okay, welcome back to listening to this section, which I'm dealing with 12.9. So today we're going to be talking about pyramids and cones. So what I've got is I've got a little diagram on the top right, and the pyramid formula. It's 1/3 times the base times the height. Well, if you're looking at this first pyramid, notice that the pyramid, the base is the bottom in black. That is in a rectangular form, so it's a rectangular base. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and just substitute 1/3 times base, which is 7 times 6, and then multiply that by your height, in this case is 20. So if you multiply everything out, now 1/3, for those using calculator, you can always say 1 divided by 3 and then hit enter, or in parentheses you can put in 1 divided by 3. Now when you multiply this all out, you should get a total of 280. And then since you got 3 feet that you're multiplying, it's feet cubed. So now another thing to remember is you can always pause this, come back to it as many times as you want. And also by pausing it, you can always just see how I'm working it out and then unpause it after you work it out, see if you get the same answers as I do. Okay. Now, number 2, I'm giving you the volume and the base, but you're trying to find the height. So volume, remember, is 1/3 base times height. Well, in this case, I mean, the base, we don't know if it's a rectangular base or what, but we just know that the base is, in this case, it's 100 inches squared, and I'm giving you the volume. So what we want to do is we want to take this 20 inches cubed and then take it 1/3 times 100 inches squared times the height. Now, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to take 1/3 times 100, and I'm going to just say 1 times 100 is 100, and keep that over 3 as a fraction form. Now with fractions, all we're doing now, notice I've got an inches cubed and inches squared, so that means my height, once I divide this into it, it's going to be an inch for your height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 over 100, and I want to multiply it by both sides. And the reason why is because, take a look what the 3's over here does. Anytime you have a fraction, you just take the reciprocal or flip it, and then multiply it by the other side. So by doing this, I've got 3 times 200, which is 600 over 100, or I can say 100 goes into 200 2 times, and then 3 times 2 gives me 6. So my height would be 6 inches. Okay, I'm going to let you all practice this next one. Same concept. Volume equals 1/3 base times height. Volume is 350. 1/3 times 70 h. So then this comes out to be 350 equals 70 over 3 h. Flip the fraction to multiply it. So basically your 3's cancel, your 70's cancel, it leaves you with h. And then you have to do it to the other side. Now you can say 3 times 350, which is 1050 divided by 70. Or what I like to do is I like to cross these out and say 70 goes into 350 because I know that would be 5. So I'd say 5 times 3 In this case, my height equals 15, and your units would be meters. Some more practice, because I know some of these flipping the fractions is new to some of us. What about if I have this and I'm asking you the same thing? What is my h? Well, I would still use my formula. Volume is 480. 1/3 times your base, which is 60, times h. So two ways I'm going to show you on this one. You could go ahead and say, like what we've done before, 480 equals 60 over 30h. Then multiply by the reciprocal, or just flip the fraction. Do it to both sides. The reason why is because your 3's would cancel, your 60's would cancel. And then I know that 6 goes into 480 right here 8 times. So 8 times 3, h is 24 meters squared. Now, we'll come back to this real quick. Let's say you have this right here. You've got, and I'm going to move it right here, 480 equals 1/3, 60 times h. If you want to go ahead and say, okay, what's 1/3 of 60? Well, 3 goes into 60 20 times. So it's 480 equals, and then you got 1 times 20 is 20. So it's 20h. Divide by 20 on both sides. In this case, h is the same thing, 24. That should be meters. That should not be meters squared. So I think I got a little ahead of myself over here. Should be meters. Okay. I hope some of us caught that. Cone. Cone is the same kind of scenario. You got a radius and a height. And the volume formula for this the volume of a cone now is, we still use the 1/3, but we do pi r squared times h. So if I ask you, okay, on number 1, all you would have to do is say volume equals 1/3 times 3.14 times radius squared, so 8 squared times 2. Now, I'm doing this on purpose. I'm hoping some of us recognize something. If we do this right here, this would absolutely make no sense. The reason why is because look, you need to look at your units. So if that's 8 inches, your 2 feet would be 24 inches. So we still really would use 1/3 times 3.14, okay, times 8 squared, but then we would use times it by 24. Now for calculator purposes, I want to say 1 divided by 3, hit enter, times 3.14, times 8 squared is 64, times 24. And this is going to be a larger number. It's going to be 1607.68. And since we converted it back to inches, it's going to be inches cubed. What about if I give you the volume and you had to find the if I give you the volume and the height and you have to find the radius, you still use that same formula. Volume equals 1/3 times 3.14 times radius squared times h. The volume we know is 1500 equals 1/3 times 3.14 radius squared times the height, which we know. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your 1500, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your 3.14 multiplied by 100 to get 314. I'm going to put it over 3, and just at my previous examples up above, I'm going to flip the fraction now. And you should get something like 143.31. This is taken 3 times 1500, hit enter, and then divide it by 314. So you get r squared equals 143.31. So then take the square root, and r equals roughly 11.97. So if they ask you to maybe round it to a whole number or something, it'd be 12, and the radius would be feet. Now finally, lateral surface area. And this is something new probably to most of us. It's pi r times the slant. Not a side, it's a slant. It's the slant of the cone. Okay? It still has a height, and I'll put that in by dotting it. You know, it still has a height, but the height we do not use in this. So my area in this case is going to be 3.14 times my radius now. So see, in this example, I'll give you the height of 10. You do not use that 10. The radius is 4, and then you multiply by 12. And you should get 150.72. And since it's area, it's in feet, it's feet squared. So thank you for listening. My next lesson I'm going to talk about is 12.10, and that will be the last section we use before our exam. Thank you for listening.